have to decide is just how big you want your business to get.
Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, Real Joe Quinn, episode 911 of the Real Deal Podcast. Of course, we continue to look back at seasons 1 through 3 on the epic hit show Snowfall. We are up now. We're on season 2, episode 4, Jingle Bell Rock. In this episode, Teddy gives Franklin a jewel. Louie walks away, and Teddy and Matt fix a problem. Very good episode. This was a well-crafted, constructed, introspective episode. I just love the scenes. I just love the dialogue between Franklin and Teddy. That particular scene, we're going to deep dive that scene, but that really, the Teddy Franklin dynamic of this episode really drove this episode home. And from start to finish, this was I thought a tremendous episode. And we're at a point right now in season 2 where they're going to be in their bag as far as running out. Season 2 is great. Like I said, I've gone between season 2 and 3 as my favorite, as the best seasons. I don't think there's any question that it's either one of those two seasons are the best seasons. And right now, you're going to be in a run of just banging episodes up until the season finale. Themes, delegation. That was the one that jumped out. We see Franklin get a lesson from Teddy in terms of delegation and how he runs his organization. We will flush that out. We see some delegation throughout the course of this episode as Franklin takes heed to that advice. The deep dive, Teddy teaching Franklin. So there's a scene where Teddy gets Franklin to come to the bank. Franklin has him wear a suit, has him dress up, wear a suit where of course he's going to be able to launder his money and what have you. And the scene, everything is going well to the bank until the banker says, basically gives Franklin a price as far as the 6%. And Franklin, of course, is still at a stage where he doesn't trust anybody, even Teddy. And he's real nervous about giving his money over to somebody that he doesn't know. So after the manager walks out, they have this conversation, and Franklin is not all in on this. And this is the quote from Teddy. It's not just about being in charge. It's about deciding how to be in charge. And he basically tells them, look, how big do you want your company to be, this organization to be? And if you want this to fulfill, reach the kind of heights and aspirations that I think you do, you got to be able to empower other people. You can't do it. No one does it alone. And you see Franklin over the course of this episode take that advice and go and run with it. And it really benefited him, with the exception of one decision, and we'll talk about that, which he certainly could not have seen coming. But we know what's going to happen not only in the future, but even in this season, we know what's going to happen with that particular decision in terms of him delegating to absolutely the wrong person. But we see Franklin take the advice and run with it over the course of the episode. And listen, this is Teddy. Teddy could be an asshole. We know Teddy could be an asshole. We know Teddy, how just conniving and cunning he could be. But he also can run some game. And Teddy, during this particular scene, Teddy is clearly not only teaching Franklin, but he's luring him in. He's seducing him. He's feeding Franklin's ego and his ambition. He knows how ambitious Franklin is. He does. And he plays off that when he says, how big do you want your organization to be? So he's definitely running some game here. Remember, we're 2 episodes removed from him, tasing and torturing Franklin and Leon. So he's still in that mode of trying to build trust for Franklin, trying to ease Franklin's mind. If you notice, since that situation, he's opened Franklin up to things that Franklin has never seen before. I don't think Franklin probably ever been in a bank before. we definitely know Franklin had never been on a plane before. So Franklin's world continues to grow from a standpoint of he's seeing things that as a leader, he is his eyes are being open to things going to help make him a stronger leader. We know Franklin is an intelligent guy to begin with. We've seen him read Ernest Hemingway books. We know he's a thinker. We know he has those skills, those great leadership. He has some capable leadership skills. But this was a huge piece that Teddy gave him as far as that advice. And again, over the course of this episode, we see him definitely take heed to his advice and execute this advice that Teddy gave him. Best scenes, Jerome and Louis. This, of course, Louis, of course, wants. All right, so to give you some context, Louis and Jerome are basically existing and not their relationship basically is not existent. Louis comes in when she wants and when she pleases. Jerome basically is keeping Louis around just to cook. I mean, and I'm not talking stovetop stuffing. I'm talking about cooking crack. So finally, Louis comes in, of course, from Claudia's another late night, early morning, and makes a demand that she wants the key, wants the combination to the safe. Jerome's like basically like, look, I'll give you whatever you want. What do you need? And she says, I basically want what's owed to me. And Jerome does not give her the combination. Says, hey, I took you in. I'm tired of the bullshit. She threatens to walk away. He gives her the little fingers, walk. Basically, tells her to basically walk with a hand gesture. And she says, this is it. I'm going. They go back and forth about Claudia pleasing her versus Jerome. Jerome says, tired of the bullshit, and she walks out. Again, at this stage in their relationship, it is 100% toxic. Like the only reason that she's even, like I said, at the house is straight business purposes. She's in essence is working with Franklin. Of course, Jerome is part of the crew as well. So that they are on the downslope of their relationship. This is probably, I would say, out of all the seasons, they're probably at their lowest point, to say the least. Because again, she right now is with Claudia in essence. Now she's spending a lot of her time with Claudia at the club. So but again, Jerome refuses to give her the combination to the safe to get money to get the money that she wanted. Jerome and Franklin. So someone has stolen $5,000. We will find out later on who it was. Maybe in matter of fact, we'll find out in the next scene when I talk about the next scene who stole $5,000. Franklin also has some other problems. A couple of his boys, corner boys got hit and robbed. So Franklin has a lot on his plate right now, and he, Jerome basically tells him, look, ever since the killing of Delroy and Victor, a lot of people are questioning you. A lot of people are questioning you as far as their safety. They don't think that you have their backs per se. A lot, his corner boys and his lower end crew. From that standpoint, so Franklin decides to make some changes, bring in some reinsurance to his gang, to his team, that he in essence is loyal to him and has their back. He gives the two guys that got beat up some money. Tells them, hey, it's not work, somewhat like workman's comp, what have you. I don't think that was the exact word he used, but something like that. So it gives them some money. Says, hey, come back when you're ready. And again, we start seeing Franklin delegate. Responsibility. Even when he brings the gun guy in to get all the guns, he allows Jerome to run point on that. So he gives Jerome some responsibility from that standpoint. So again, we see Franklin during these scenes, during the course of the episode, really take heed to the advice that Teddy gave him. Kevin and Franklin, so they had a party. Again, they have a celebration following the giving out of the guns to his crew, to his corner boys. They have a party. This is Christmas Day. Henceforth, the title Jingle Bell Rock. They give Kevin and Franklin are at the club. Franklin, is kind of teasing Kevin Well, first of all, Franklin early in the episode apologized for hitting Kevin in the last episode, even though Kevin deserved it. Right now, Kevin and Franklin are not really feeling each other. Kevin tells him basically, I took the $5,000 for D-Ray, for Delroy, his cousin, and paid off of their family funeral services and all that stuff. Franklin, of course, is hot that Kevin did not tell him about this. Kevin says, I shouldn't have to ask you for this, considering what it was for. And of course, Franklin is not feeling it whatsoever. And Kevin is still hung up on the fact that of his cousins getting killed, his cousin being killed, and he still wants revenge. Franklin seemingly cannot talk that out of his head. He makes a deal. He makes a kind of like a fake deal with Kevin, saying if you can go out and find who did this and get more information, then we could possibly hit back. But it's not really like something that's concrete. He does that. He says that just to hold Kevin off long enough before Kevin does something stupid. So this is going to be an ongoing thing for the rest of the season. Like these two right now are at odds. Kevin really at this point doesn't have a lot of respect or trust for Franklin. So this is going to be something that we're going to see play out throughout the course of this season. And finally, we get Louis and Franklin. Louis basically tells Franklin. Louis tells Franklin that she left, and she basically tells Franklin she's out. Gives him a kiss on the lips. That will not be the first time over the course of this duration of this series that Louis unromantically, of course, kisses Franklin on the lips. We, of course, know what transpired in season 5. Yeah, in season 5. We've already done those episodes, so we're not spoiling anything from that standpoint. But Louis basically says she's out. You're going to have to do it without me. I'm done. I'm it. That's it. And now Franklin is down one major person, and this probably triggers him to make a decision that he will regret. He promotes Wanda to the cookhouse at the party. Of course, she's been trying to get in for a couple of weeks now for the duration of this season, been trying to work for him. So he promotes her to the cookhouse because they have a shortage of cooks, stoves, and what have you, and they having a hard time keeping up with the demand of their product compared to the demand of the product because of how popular and how popular it is. So Franklin, again, he delegates, and that will be one delegation too many, as we're going to see what's going to happen and transpire with Wanda. That will be a major decision with major ramifications moving forward. MVP, Franklin and Teddy. That scene, again, the Franklin Teddy scene in the bank was a great scene. Franklin took Teddy's advice in terms of delegating responsibility to his peoples. He gained some more respect from his people, some loyalty, even from like the likes of Jerome. He still, of course, is going to have a Kevin issue, and then some other issues coming up. So those with that scene was the MVP of the episode, Franklin and Teddy. Some other things that transpired over the course of the episode. Of course, Teddy had to use Matt again for a job, as he had to dig up the bodies that, of course, Alejandro and Victoria, who he killed Alejandro for killing Victoria. So this is, of course, 1984. This is during the Olympics. Of course, remember. If you're old enough, the 84 Olympics were in Los Angeles, and they're at a site where they were digging, of course, I guess not for the stadium, but for where the Olympics were going to be. And of course, if they dug far enough, they would have discovered those bodies. So so again, Teddy can, of course, trust no one else to do this particular job. He has to entrust Matt. Of course, Matt's not going to say anything, and Matt is, when they started digging far enough, Matt realized he knew that spell, and basically, Teddy had no choice but to tell Matt what transpired, and now Matt, is basically Matt is all in. I mean, when you start delivering, when you're flying cocaine across the country or different countries, you're completely in. So Matt, at this point, just knows just about everything that's going on with his brother. Also, Alden, of course, got out the hospital. He's staying with Sissy in Franklin's room. So that will be something that will be ongoing for the rest of the season as well. The Sissy Alton dynamic and relationship and Alton's character, certainly his role is going to pick up over the course of this season. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Again, stay tuned for the NFL show week 2. That podcast will be out Tuesday. Well, of course, we're going to record it tomorrow. It'll be out on Tuesday. We'll discuss it on a big weekend NFL football and another interesting week also in college ranks, in the college ranks on Saturday as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Have a great rest of the evening. So long.